welcome to the Social Media Toolkit webinar by BCA Study Abroad. Today we'll be going over platforms to engage students on, types of content, posts, collection and scheduling, as well as networking. I will also have a section for questions at the end, so please hold that for that time. And we're going to start with some introductions. My name is Summer Walter, and I'm the Design and Media Specialist for BCA. I joined the team in August of 2016. I'm a three-time study abroad student and graduate of Colorado State University. I've been a social media manager since 2005, I've been a social media user since 2005, and I've helped manage platforms for the past 6 years. When I started, since I've started, we've had over 500 new Facebook followers, over 150 new Twitter followers, over 180 new Instagram followers, and we've been able to bring all of our social media efforts in-house. I want to ask everyone on the call and see who else we have on the call today. If you can, we'll start with Krista. Tell us your name, where you're from, if you're currently using social media, what platforms you're using if you do, and what your favorite is. And don't forget to unmute yourself so that we can hear you. Krista, I can't seem to hear you, so if you're there, go ahead and unmute. Okay. Has everyone connected to the audio pin since if you're on a phone? If not, you know what, we'll just skip this step and continue on. And if you guys have any specific questions as it relates to what your platforms you're using in your study abroad offices, go ahead and send me an email and I'll have that information for you at the end of the webinar. All right, moving on. At BCA, we focus on the following platforms. Today, however, I'm going to focus on the first four, so Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and Snapchat. First, we'll look at the statistics of these platforms to understand how they're used and who uses them. Seeing these will help you understand the importance of having a social media presence, as well as how to connect, how content can be manipulated on each platform to reach students. And as a quick note, I will be co-presenting a session at NASA Region 8 conference on the use of Snapchat as a tool to market study abroad. So if you're there, please join me. All right, let's take a look at Instagram. Instagram is a video and image sharing platform that started in 2010. Over half of the users are between the ages of 18 and 29. Instagram has about 400 million active daily users. Users check Instagram multiple times a day, so later on we'll talk about how often you should post. Instagram drives the most engagement, 84 times more than Twitter, 54 times more than Pinterest, and 10 times more than Facebook. If you're going to do only one social media platform, I would suggest using Instagram. It's a great place to tell stories, direct students to websites, call attention to different opportunities, and you can utilize Instagram stories in the same way that you might use Snapchat. Twitter is used to connect people and share information in real time. A third of its users are within the college age, and it should be no surprise that a majority of users access Twitters on their phones or mobile devices. Users tend to check Twitter multiple times a day, so life on the social platform moves pretty quickly. I once read that it only takes 1 week for users to send 1 billion tweets. Take that with a grain of salt. With BCA, I've seen a drastic uptick in Twitter movement since the election. Considering that the news outlets are now using Twitter as a primary source to cite quotes, I think a lot more of its users are paying attention. This platform is my second favorite for marketing communication after Instagram. Facebook is a social media monster. They're kind of like the Walmart of social media, if you will. Originally started as a hot or not website for Harvard students to rank each other, Facebook quickly transitioned into a virtual directory for sharing information about your life with other college students. In 2005, Facebook expanded its network to other universities and eventually to the general public. Facebook is the most popular social media site on the internet, but not necessarily for your target market, as it is not very popular with millennials and even less so with Gen Z. 88% of users are between the ages of 18 and 29, but they are not the most active users. Due to the sheer volume and capabilities, Facebook is a necessary evil. Business and targeting tools make this a good place to reach students, faculty, alumni, and parents. Translations to different languages are rooted into the platform. People in general spend an average of 35 minutes a day on Facebook. I find with BCA, this is the best place to connect with alumni and less so with new students. Last but not least, Snapchat is the fastest growing social media platform. It's a fleeting visual sharing platform that promotes creativity and information sharing. We know from other platforms that visual media gets the most engagement, so why wouldn't there be an app just for it? Snapchat has made such an impact on both Instagram and Facebook that they both took the idea and repositioned it for their own use with Facebook stories and Instagram stories. Images on Snapchat typically only last 10 seconds or less until recently when they created the infinity feature. So it seems silly to put effort into it for marketing purposes. However, a post anywhere only gets a few seconds of attention from younger users, so it's a great way to quickly share a message. I'm currently using Snapchat to share student experiences abroad by having them host Snapchat takeovers. If students can see what their peers are up to overseas, they might be curious to do it themselves. With each platform I've identified, common themes include imagery, ability to connect with others, ability to share information, ability to align yourself with a particular demographic, and the ability to tune in or tune out as much as you want. As you can see here, millennials are twice as likely as any other generation to turn to social media rather than phone or email to communicate with a brand. And if that's not enough for you to get on the social media train, social media is free to use. It's targeted to your ideal candidate, so students, which are the most consistent users. It's a relationship builder. It's a communicator, so it allows you to respond quicker to inquiry. And it is widely and actively used. You can have a much further reach than traditional methods of outreach, let's say, than tabling or something like that. Now that you see who the users are and how each platform compares to the others, let's talk about content. Users are looking to get something out of following you. Therefore, it can't be all about you. However, you also need to sell study abroad. So I've identified 3 major themes that might be helpful when you're looking at your own social platforms: notifications, student stories, and opportunities. The first is kind of a no-brainer. If you're having an event or deadlines are coming up, social media is a great place to put those items. You can create events in Facebook, post reminders to Twitter, put a poster-like image on Instagram, and snap from the event the day of. If you can get your campus's main account to share the information on their platforms, that's even better. With student stories, users want to see what other people are up to. I mean, that's the basic premise of social media. Social is also super narcissistic, so students love seeing themselves on posts. Connect with your students abroad through social platforms. Try to engage them before they leave and use their stories to help promote your office by sharing content. I've been doing a lot of work identifying students abroad and communicating with them to get more of their stories. I'm sure that any of you can back me up on this when you say, like, students are less likely to take a study abroad professional's word for it than a friend who just got back from being overseas. Use this to your advantage. Repost the stories students are already telling on their personal feeds to promote study abroad and have them host a takeover from your account while they're in country. A fun fact I just learned about the official Twitter for the country of Sweden the other day is that it is run by a different citizen every week. I think that's such a clever solution when thinking about marketing culture, different demographics, and giving a voice to a group of people. Why not just let them do it? The third type of content goes back to, what can I get out of you? This is a question that all users are asking. They want to feel that their time is worth something. You can offer incentives like waived application fees for completing a task. You can share information about scholarships or times when providers or organizations are on campus. Travel companies and international education organizations are constantly promoting things your students might be interested in, so help spread the word. Now that we've narrowed down some of the major themes, let's talk about where that content comes from. This is where engaging with social media is super important. You can't just post to social, you also need to listen and monitor social media. Here are a few places to look for your content. Blogs, these could be your own blogs, student blogs, organizations, or professional blog sites. Articles, they can be educational, travel-related, newsworthy. You know your students the best because you interact with them the most, so what would they find most useful? Videos. Videos are like social golden right now. You get really good reach and engagement with videos. Infographics, white papers, webinars, products, podcasts, case studies. These can all be found by monitoring other people on social media. You'll see here behind the scenes is an interesting new topic that has become more popular due to Snapchat. Because images and videos are so short, users want to see more than the moments that don't warrant a typical post. This might be a tour of a student's living arrangements abroad. It could be waiting in an airport for foreign exchange students to arrive. It can be hard to think of some of these moments as social worthy, but always keep an open mind of posting. With all of your content, it's important to have the right balance. The rule of thirds is a common practice among many social media professionals. So when you're thinking about that, look at 1/3 of your social content should be promoting your business or your study abroad office. 1/3 of your content should share your ideas and stories about study abroad and international education. And the other 1/3 of your content should be based on personal interactions and building your office's story. So an example, post 1 is about a study abroad fair on your campus. A second post is about how studying abroad helped a student succeed after college. And a third post would be from a student abroad who's maybe sporting your school's shirt or flag or some sort of university paraphernalia. Each post will be manipulated depending on the platform you use it in. For example, you will definitely need a visual to post it to Instagram, but you may only need text or a link to post to Facebook. Here are some key elements to keep in mind when you're composing your post. Remember that not every post needs these, just these are kind of like the key elements to think about when you're composing your post. Hashtags allow you to be found and connect with others about a specific topic, kind of like a little search engine. They're most commonly used on Twitter and Instagram. The feature exists on Facebook, but I would say not many people use it. Visuals, people can't get enough of a good photo or video. These posts will perform better than others. But visuals don't have to be just photos. Try GIFs, boomerangs, cinemagraphs, infographics. Really, the sky's the limit, and they're always creating new ways to share imagery. Your tone should reflect your institutions. However, social media is fairly informal setting, so it's suggested to keep your tone more conversational than necessarily super academic or professional. Well, I'll always keep it professional, obviously, but more conversational than business professional. Links help connect your users to more information. This will also help drive users to your website, which is important if you keep a up-to-date website. Tags, make sure to give credit to persons where applicable by tagging them. This would be an example like at BCA Study Abroad or at, a student's handle. Always make sure to give your post context. So unless you're only posting super amazing photography, and we're talking like feeds that only focus on photography, which none of us are, users want to know the who, what, and where of a post. Now let's think about collecting and scheduling your content. Since social media management is posting and listening, make sure to collect as you go. Establish a system for gathering content as you find it. Spend a few minutes each day browsing social sites. If you see something you want to share in the future, collect it and put it into your social calendar. If you get an email notification about an opportunity that students might be interested in, store that information for a post at a later date. It only takes a few minutes, and your calendar will just fill up faster than you realize. Create a calendar for your post. There are many programs you can pay to help you do this, but if you're on a budget, an Excel document does the exact same thing. Here's an example of a calendar created in an Excel document. Make sure to list the days of the week and the different platforms. If you want to get fancy with it, you can add cells for times of day to post, image file names, slots for multiple posts, etc. Adjust it to work best for you. A calendar is also a great way to keep track of what you're posting year to year and day to day, so you can always go back and reference that information at a later date. Make time to organize your content and schedule it out. Devote a couple days each month to this task. I personally like to take a couple days towards the end of the month to do this. Usually takes about a day to get my calendar complete and a day, not even a day, to post all the content or schedule it. You can schedule posts in Facebook right through the app, or you can use outside programs like TweetDeck to schedule for Twitter. Currently, there aren't great platforms for scheduling Instagram or Snapchat, but you can prep yourself for those posts by filling out your calendar with daily content. One of the biggest questions in collecting and scheduling is frequency. When and how often should you post? To answer that, we're going to take a look at how long content lasts. Twitter has a life expectancy of 18 minutes, so life on Twitter moves pretty quickly. A post 3 or more times a day should be sufficient. Facebook posts tend to last around 5 hours, so 2 to 3 times per day. I've started posting less often on Facebook just to see if we can get a further reach, because I've recently read and heard through different platforms that they're changing their logarithms because there's so much content on Facebook. So I can let you know if you're interested, if that technique is working. So remember that with each of these sites, they're constantly changing based on usage, content, users, and the logarithms behind the scenes. So be ready to adjust how often. Instagram posts tend to last 21 hours, so once a day, as long as you're consistent. I've read that staying consistent on Instagram is important because of the logarithms. You'll tend to not show up on people's feed if you're not consistently posting. YouTube has a life expectancy of 20 days and Pinterest 4 months. So with both of those, just post when you have valuable content. Don't feel that you need to post regularly. Of course, all of this can be adjusted based on your analytics, which we're not going to get into today. But if you want to get more out of your posts, I would suggest taking time once a month to look at how you're doing month to month with post engagement and impressions, and then adjust your posting schedule based on those analytics. Lastly, let's talk about resources for collection. Here are my tips for engaging students for content. Start early. You can talk to students about submitting information before they even leave. Set up a Dropbox or Facebook group where they can keep in contact with them while they're abroad. Creating a hashtag for your study abroad office if you don't already have one, like hashtag BCA Study Abroad. Use this on your posts and encourage students to do the same. This will make searching for their photos and posts so much easier when you're going ready to create your calendar. Delegate your work to peer advisors. Ask them to keep in contact with students abroad and have them work on your social calendars. They're your ideal target, so why not give them the voice? You could host a returnee event and ask students to submit their stories and their experiences. If you have the funds, think about starting a scholarship. We recently started our Storyteller Scholarship at BCA. These are students that submit monthly content to us in the form of blogs, photos, and videos, and we assign about 5 per semester. Contests work in the same way. If you're not already doing so, think about hosting a photo contest for returning students, and make sure to put on their submission form that all photos submitted can be used for your office's promotional materials. Before we finish with our last slide on networking, does anyone have any questions about social platforms, types of content, posts, collecting, or scheduling? If so, please go ahead and type them into the chat. Okay. Again, if you have any questions and you think of something later on, feel free to send me an email. Well, looks like we got one. Oh, what is the difference between engagement and impressions? That is a really great question. Engagement are the likes and shares that you get on a post. So every time you like or love or double tap on something, that is an engagement. You're engaging the user. Impressions are the number of times people have seen a post. So, and I'll add another term in here for you, which is called reach. So reach is every time that post is put in front of a user. So let's say you have 5 users and they each see the post once, that would be a reach of 5. Impressions are how many times everybody saw the post. So if you have your 5 users and one person saw it twice, one person saw it 1 time, and the other 3 people saw them 2 times, then your impressions would be 9, if that makes any sense. Good question. Okay. If we don't have any others, we'll continue. Last but not least, I'd like to quick mention LinkedIn. This is underutilized by many professionals who struggle with posting work-related content versus personal content to social platforms. LinkedIn is a social platform for you to engage with other industry professionals. You can follow your colleagues, institutions, organizations like IIE and NASA. It's international, which helps us connect with others abroad. And it can help solidify your presence in the field. If nothing else, please follow BCA Study Abroad, as we like to post notifications just for you. Okay, now I've had my shameless plug. I want to thank you for joining me. Here is my email, should you think of a question later on, and I am happy to help you wherever you need. Thank you.